phone today. Hi, Joey.
Hi, Seth. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thanks for making time for us. Always good to have you on the program. And I know we've got a special birthday to put out there to get us started today. How about that, Joey?
We do. Today is C.H. Moore's birthday. He was born in 1817 in Kirtland, Ohio.
Kirtland, Ohio. Now remind us, how did he get to Clinton then?
Well, it certainly wasn't planned. So he was born in Kirtland, Ohio. He was the oldest of 8 children born to a farmer who, according to Mr. Moore's recollection, could barely read and write. It was actually the mother who was educated. So she saw to making sure that the children had education. And living on that farm as a farmer's son, very early on, Moore realized that he did not want to live the life of a farmer. So that's kind of ironic since he actually made his fortune in a way in farming. But let's just say he probably had it figured out that it would be more enjoyable to push a pin than a plow.
Mm-hmm.
He realized that education was the way up and out of that. So he did very well in the common schools and then went on, like a lot of young men back in those days, to teach. And he was doing this in the Kirtland, Painesville, Willoughby, Ohio area where he was from when his community actually went through a religious upheaval. And Mr. Moore, as a young man, realized that he needed to move on. So the plan was to go to Kentucky and find a teaching job. But he was on a keelboat on his way to Kentucky to find this teaching job. And he met up with a group of strangers from out east. And these strangers were on their way to what they were calling the hub of commerce on the Illinois Prairie.
Mm-hmm.
That would be Pekin, Illinois.
Pekin, Illinois.
No, even when I tell this story at the museum, even people from Pekin kind of look at me a little perplexed. But Pekin was very small and just starting out, but it was on the water. So when you're dealing with marshy prairie land that has grass sometimes as high as a man on horseback, commerce on the water was the key. So these strangers from out east thought that, this might be a better option for this young man. Don't go to Kentucky. Don't get a teaching job. Come with us to Pekin, Illinois. Come to the frontier. We're building a new country here. This is where promise is. You would have a bright future. Come with us to Pekin. So Mr. Moore thought about it and decided, no, I'm going to Kentucky. So the strangers that he met on the boat went on to Pekin. Mr. Moore went on into Kentucky. He wound all through Kentucky, wandering everywhere, trying to find a teaching job and found nothing. Eventually, he ended up in St. Louis. He even had letters of introduction written by the mayor of St. Louis, to get his foot in the door, at this point, he would take any kind of employment as long as it was considered respectable. And so even with those letters in St. Louis, he still was able to find nothing. So now his money's running out and he has no prospects. And he said to himself, you know what? Guess I'm going to go to Pekin. So up the river to Pekin. And I'm sure that by the time he got to Pekin, all of those strangers that he had met on that boat now look like long lost friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just happened that when he got to Pekin, as I said, it was very small and just starting out. But there were 2 wealthy families in Pekin who needed a highfalutin tutor. Perfect. So he starts doing that. And you see what social circle that puts him in. And then they're either organizing or reorganizing their county government. Can't think that there were that many what would be considered, formally educated young men in the area at the time. So they approached him and asked if he would like to be the clerk for the county. So he steps into that role. Well, then he's rubbing elbows with all those circuit riding prairie lawyers. Mm-hmm. And he looks at them and thinks to himself, there's no reason I couldn't do that. So he passed the bar in 1841, came to DeWitt County immediately after that, and was our first resident attorney.
How about that?
Perfect of life does not always go the way you plan,
mm-hmm.
but some can turn out even better than you imagined.
Well, and then, of course, obviously, DeWitt County was very good to Mr. Moore, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, and he was very good to us, too. Maybe on his birthday, we would want to think about the idea that he is responsible for, children back in the day where not every child could have a chance at education. He helped the town with that. He is the person who made a provision in his will that if a building were constructed to house a free and public library, that we should have that. He donated his books to that cause. So everyone who enjoys the Vespasian Public Library has Mr. Moore to thank for that. And he also made sure that the railroad came through Clinton instead of around. And then later, he convinced them to move their hub of operations from Wapella to Clinton, which was a huge economic boom for this town. So we have a lot to be grateful for today.
How about that? How about that? Good stuff, Joey. I like that to get us started here for today. Very good. Very good. Now, how is the, as we celebrate Mr. Moore's birthday, how is the Mourning Moore exhibit going? What the home would have looked like upon his passing, obviously many years ago. How about that? How's the new exhibit doing?
Yeah, so I'm used to often talking about C.H. Moore's life, but this month with the Mourning Moore going on, we're talking a lot about his death. So Mr. Moore had a very good, long life. He lived to be in his 80s, which was considered quite old for that period of time. And we don't know exactly what took him. They only described it as some type of a stomach ailment. It wasn't an illness that lasted for months and months. It wasn't what they would have considered, only days, but, somewhere in between. And so when Mr. Moore took his final breath on April 29th of 1901, everything in that house changed. So at the moment of death, they would have followed all of these Victorian customs that people were used to following back in those days when a death did occur in the family in the home. So the clock hands would have been stopped at the time of death. The draperies would have been pulled and closed. Black draperies put over the mirrors, black wreaths on the door, bunting on the front of the house. On the doorknob, they would have put black crepe, black ribbons, or if it had been someone who was a child or had not yet married, it would have been, in that case, it would have been white ribbons and white crepe on the doorknob, just to let people know that, there's been a death and, that there is a body in the house. They would have had to start sending out invitations to the funeral. And here's another thing. No one leaves the house. No one in the family leaves the house until after the funeral is over. So it's a time of great seclusion. Mm-hmm. But also we show the other side of it too with this exhibit. For the family, it's a time of seclusion, grieving, mourning, reflection, solitude. But on the other side, for the servants, get the dress sewn, get the body taken care of, take care of the bedclothes, all of this, prepare for all these guests that are going to be in the home for the funeral. On their end, it would have just been, such a larger workload to take care of all these things that have to happen when you've had a death in the house and preparing for a funeral. So we have it staged like that, and it's really quite interesting. Normally, we have the house staged for everyday life seasonally. At the holiday time, we have the house staged. It's all decorated for Christmas, and it's a very festive atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And but this month, it's that funeral setting. So it's quite a different feel. People that have been to the home before and taken the tours in the past, they're remarking on, oh my goodness, it doesn't even feel like the same house. Just because it's staged so differently. And this set has been so well received. So the house is staged for the entire month of October, as if, there's been a death that's taken place in the home and the family is grieving, and a funeral will be taking place in the morning. It's been staged out like that for the month. We offered ticketed candlelight tours, 4 different time slots, and they sold out so quickly. Just amazing how quickly they sold out. The first one took place a couple weeks ago, and then Friday will be the last 2 that we're having. But I want to remind people that even though the ticketed events are sold out, they can still come and do a daily tour. It's $5 for an adult admission and experience the home as it's staged now. And so only a few days left. this goes until Halloween, October 31st. And then after that, the house will be completely restaged. So anyone who's curious about this, I encourage you to come. If you've seen the house before, I promise you've not seen it like this. This is a special one-time event. So, don't think, well, I'll just see it next year or the year after. Nope, this is the only time. And we really pulled out all the stops in addition to, staging the house in the way that we have and, pulling out some little artifacts and telling different stories, this month. We've done it all. We have a casket in the formal parlor, right where Mr. Moore's casket would have been. We even have a hearse in the carriage barn. So I really want to encourage people, if they're curious, please come and experience this.
Yeah. Now, Joey, as you're talking to people, again, Joey Long is the director of the DeWitt County Museum, and C.H. Moore Homestead, our guest on the phone today. So as you're talking to people, Joey, what are they learning? What kind of questions are they asking? Have you had good conversations? What have those been like? How about some of that?
We've had fantastic conversations. And that's the way I've been handling this. So I tell them a little bit about Mr. Moore's funeral and whatnot, and some Victorian mourning customs. And then I ask them, are you curious about anything? And I've gotten so many interesting questions. Some questions that are asked often, but then other questions that, I hadn't even thought about that. Here's the answer. Isn't that interesting? So they're curious about the idea that no one leaves the house. They said, well, then, what would you do if you needed your mourning clothes? What would you do if, So the answer to that would be you would find a trusted female friend, and she would go out and she would hire a seamstress to come into your home and start, working on your mourning wardrobe. Just a lot of interesting questions, and people are drawing a lot of parallels as far as customs that were followed back then and how they are similar or different from, what we do today. And I don't know, it's just been really interesting. And then when I pull out the artifacts during both the candlelight and the daytime tours, I just have a box of artifacts I'll pull out during the daytime tours and just ask, see anything in this box that you're curious about? And they'll point something out, and then we'll pull out that artifact and I'll tell them the story behind it. And it's just every conversation, that I have with the visitors, they'll say, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, how interesting. Wow. And that's what this is about. Not just hearing or being told what it was like and not just seeing how it would have looked, but experiencing how it would have felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I bet I bet a lot of people are just fascinated by this. It's such a unique idea and a unique experience as well. So I'm not surprised this has gone over like gangbusters.
Yeah, we're really happy about that.
Very good. You mentioned the candlelight tours for this, Joey. Again, are still those are sold out, but you can still get in and check out this exhibit. Just one more time, highlight that for us.
Sure. So the admission for the daytime tours are $5 for adults, and you don't need to make reservations or anything like that. Your tour begins upon your arrival. So those are available during regular museum hours now through October 31st. So that would be regular museum hours would be Tuesdays through Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sundays, which happens to be Halloween this year. And then that's your last chance, October 31st. So please don't miss it. Come out and take a look.
Check it out. Very good. Joey, again, where do folks go to learn more about all things DeWitt County Museum?
They can always go to our website. It's www.chmoorehomestead.org, or they can go to our Facebook page, C.H. Moore Homestead and DeWitt County Museum. You're also welcome to give us a call if you have any questions or curious about anything. Phone number at the museum is 217-935-6066, or if you're local, feel free to stop by.
Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum, C.H. Moore Homestead, our guest on the phone. More to come with Joey on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW. WHOW.
Bureau YouTube channel.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn steady, beans higher, wheat trading higher. December corn up a penny, 481. March corn up half a penny, 495. May corn 503 unchanged. November beans up 3 3/4, 12.92. January beans up 3 3/4, 13.12 1/4. March beans up 4, 13.25 3/4. December wheat 574 up 5 1/2. March wheat up 4 1/4, $6 1/2. December bean meal 427.90 down to $1.30. December bean oil up a quarter, 52.85. Livestock market at this hour. October feeders 239.80 down 17 cents. October live cattle up 35 cents, 181.47. December lean hog 67.95 up 45 cents. Energy market at this hour. December crude oil 83.73 down $1.66. Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network.
Your own home without the maintenance. If you're 55 or better, a beautiful Liberty Village villa could be yours. This is Erin, and I invite you to come take a tour of our move-in ready villa. Click the Liberty Village icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Simply the finest.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
It's no secret that employers are having a difficult time hiring qualified personnel, whether full or part-time. The Miller Media Group wants to help you, the employer, to find the candidates you're looking for. That's why we've created IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. This website is part of a broad radio and internet employment campaign available through the Miller Media Group. Contact your account manager or email sales at randyradio.com for more information. IllinoisJobPost.com is where we put the power of radio and the internet to attract prospective candidates.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum and C.H. Moore Homestead, my guest on the phone for today. And, Joey, we talk about the Mourning Moore exhibit. We were talking before we got started about how this is a one-time event. You got to get out and see it now. It's not going to be back next year. You're not going to do it again. The uniqueness of it, that sort of thing. And, it's one of those things, Joey, where if you're coming to the museum, you'll maybe see some exhibits that are on display. Maybe they're not to the extent of the Mourning Moore exhibit, but they're unique. There's something to see that's maybe not what you saw before, that sort of thing. Let's highlight maybe some of those things that we've seen at the museum this year and in years past. How about that?
Sure. Well, this year I would say that when we opened for the season on April 1st, we kicked it off with the premiere of the Historical Houses of DeWitt County exhibit. And that has been very well received. I'll admit, I wondered, if you're not from DeWitt County, will you be interested in this exhibit? Because, probably 80% or more of our visitors are not from DeWitt County. And, but yes, even people from DeWitt County have, raved about it and really enjoyed it. So, but I guess that makes sense. If you're visiting a historic house museum, you would be interested in historical houses no matter where the houses are. And each one does have a pretty interesting story behind it. And then, this year we've done quite a few events. So we kicked off with that exhibit. And then the next exhibit would have been the quilt show that we had in June. That's an annual event. And then that was followed by a special event, Secrets of the David Davis Mansion. We welcomed Marcia Young, who had been the director of the David Davis Mansion for many years, to come and talk to us about David Davis, C.H. Moore's good friend. And she even told us a little bit about C.H. Moore as well. So that was well attended, very nice one-time event. Then we went on, of course, to the Apple and Pork Festival, the event that is most attended and what we're really known for. Then from there, we flipped right into the Mourning Moore. And coming up, we will have Santa Night and we'll have the Christmas candlelight tours. So, and we also have something special that we're planning. I can't give any details right now, but we're working on possibly having something very special taking place. It'd be another ticketed event in December. So we're really excited about everything that we've, introduced and offered this year, as well as the things that are coming up between now and the end of the year. And looking forward to next year, we're also hoping to arrange to have more of these one-time special events than we've had in the past. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, and to that end, Joey, I want to make the point that if you missed the candlelight tours for the Mourning Moore exhibit, make sure you check out the candlelight tours of the holiday season, because those are fantastic and we're absolutely worth the time to get out and see. So if you haven't been to the museum and you're disappointed you missed the Mourning Moore candlelight tours, make sure you get in for the holiday candlelight tours, because those are fantastic.
Absolutely.
Very good. Joey, so when it comes to that special exhibit, that special event you're talking about, the ticketed event, when can we expect details to be finalized for that?
I would think that we would have that all figured out within, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, very good. So maybe our next conversation we can highlight it.
Yes, that'd be great.
Wonderful. Very good. Joey, let me see here. I've got a minute and a half left with you. Anything you want to talk about as we wrap up? Perhaps we could just remind folks, once candlelight tours wrap up for the holiday season, the museum does shut down for a few months in anticipation of just kind of maintenance and those sorts of things. Let's just highlight that very quickly.
It does. Everything changes. Kind of like when the house goes into mourning, when there's a death. On December 31st every year, when I go through and I shut off all the lights at the end of the day, it feels like I'm kind of putting the house to sleep for 3 months. We're not welcoming visitors during that time. We're still busy. So there'll be a lot of cleaning and special projects and collections care and things like that. But yeah, it certainly has a different vibe during those 3 months. So like I say, it's just kind of the same thing. It just kind of feels peaceful and quiet, and time for reflection and taking on the new project.
Very good, Joey. Well, I'll tell you what, again, where do folks go to learn about and follow along with all things DeWitt County Museum C.H. Moore Homestead?
The website is chmoorehomestead.org. The Facebook page is C.H. Moore Homestead and DeWitt County Museum. The phone number is 217-935-6066. Or we're located at 219 East Woodlawn in Clinton. If you're nearby, stop in.
Joey Long, director of the DeWitt County Museum and C.H. Moore Homestead, my guest on the phone. Network news on the way.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, 92.3 FM, W222.